What's good, y'all? It's Shy Elemental here again with my man Death Over Simplicity, back with another episode of Masters of the GamerVerse. What up, Mr. Simplicity? Tell him what's good.
Miss Simplicity. That's like well, it's my
All right,
professor name. I only teach one-on-one classes.
all
Uh,
right, fair enough.
yeah, we're back. You might
Yes,
thought
sir.
we stopped, but we're back. Whether it's
No,
whether
no,
it's
yeah,
1 week or three, we're on the return. But I've been good, man. Getting smoked and Tekken online, and enjoying my new passion, Brotato. You can see the Brotato background behind me. Anyone that's into like Smash TV or any of those top down shooters, Brotato is where it's at. I'm loving
yeah,
Brotato.
okay. I'm gonna need to look into this. That's crazy. That's crazy. So you said it's like a top-down shooter?
Yeah, yeah, and you run around and you don't even like aim. So you just move and then it'll shoot the enemies for you, but you'll load up so you'll have
Oh,
like multiple guns. Like you can have like four shotguns, and you're trying to make it as wave after wave comes after you.
I got you. That's pretty dope. I could probably get addictive too.
Oh, definitely.
Right, that's dope. That's dope. Well, let's get into it. So I guess the first though thing we'll get into, just because we had talked about it previously, when we had talked about it being big news that it might be happening. Well, it did, and it will look like likely continue to happen. Is Xbox has now put out games on other platforms. Now, for a lot of people, that has them wondering if is there a future for even console exclusive games? Is this something that, a trend that's going to continue? Will we see PlayStation follow suit, et cetera, et cetera? I know it definitely, for me, I think as just a gamer, it opens up more games to, say, the PlayStation library. So I think it's a good thing. It can't be a bad thing necessarily in that respect. I don't know how it really helps Xbox's, physical console division, per se. But I mean, that could go either way, I guess. They're not doing too good right now anyway, and their whole kind of messaging has been they don't want it to really look like Xbox the console. They want it to be about the ecosystem itself. So you're really buying more into that than just buying a console. That console can tap into that and be a part of it, but that's not the whole aspect of it. So from that respect, it just kind of sounds like more of that same messaging. Um, you know, at this point too in the game where everything's so expensive, I can see why they would need to do something like this with as many studios as you've seen that they bought with Activision. Bethesda before that. They've spent a lot of money scooping up studios, and as you know, they haven't really produced many games over that time period. So it's pretty much a necessity at this point, I'd say, from a certain aspect. What do you think about that?
It's crazy to see as someone that came up in the console wars. When
Yeah.
it was
And you are primarily an Xbox gamer when it comes to new
yeah,
gen.
I'm an Xbox guy, so but the main thing for me over the past few years has been Game Pass. So if we can I wanted to go the other way. So it's cool that PlayStation could get access, especially if crossplay becomes open, with things like Sea of Thieves. Um that would be awesome. Expanding the online market to be able to play with your friends that, couldn't play the game and couldn't, crossplay. That'd be great.
Which
But
I'm sure it will
listen,
happen.
if we could get Spider-Man and God of War on Xbox, I'm down for it 1,000%. It still sucks to try to have to get a new console just to play some of these games. Um, but I'm hoping the flow will go both ways. As crazy as it is, for this to be happening now, I hope one day we'll get, like exclusives will be somewhat a thing of the past.
Yeah, it'd be pretty dope. I mean, I remember, when I was a kid, I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was just one console that could play all the games, so I wouldn't have to choose one. When there was times where you did want to own both. Like I remember Genesis and Super Nintendo. I'm like, man, like I want both of these, not just one. It's like PlayStation. Nintendo 64, even the Saturn a little bit. Um, pretty much every generation after that. That's why, I have Xbox and PlayStation and Switch and Nintendo, the Nintendo consoles too. It's just because I like good games. So wherever they're at, I'm going to end up being there at some point if I have the disposable income to do so. Um, so for me, it's just like, cool, let me spend less of that money on hardware and either save that money or put some of it towards, more games. I think
Yeah,
it's good
I get it.
for the end consumer, you know what I mean? In the end, either way. So we'll see what happens. I don't see PlayStation doing it for a long time. I think they would have to get pretty desperate to start, like, putting Uncharted and things like that on other, consoles. But who knows? They started off as a third-party publisher. Really, when you look at it, they published games on the Super Nintendo before they fully got into gaming. So it's in the PC, I believe, back then as well. So you never know what could happen there. I'll transition off of that. Talk about this is quite the shit show. Excuse my language, but the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this launch that's been going on with this game. I was actually looking forward to getting this game. I haven't yet. I'm very glad I haven't at this point, just because of what's been going on with it. Basically, Aspire. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the company. I can't remember who they're under, if it's Embracer Group or one of those, bigger companies. They published the Star Wars Battlefront collection, which collects Battlefront 1 and 2, but not the EA ones, the newest ones, but the older ones that were on Xbox and PlayStation 2, which are like really classic multiplayer games. And they put these games out on the Switch, the Xbox, and the PlayStation. And they launched it, and basically the entire thing is based around multiplayer for the most part. They do both have single player campaigns, but it's more about playing the online aspect of the game. And basically, when people went on when the game launched to play online, they couldn't get on because I guess there was only like 6 servers or something like crazy like that, like a stupid low number of servers for a game that was as highly anticipated as this was, with such little time going running up to it. Knowing it's a Star Wars IP, which is going to be usually pretty big, especially if it's one of these classic games like this. It's pretty crazy to me that they didn't even have enough servers to handle the game launching on 3 different consoles with that size of a player base based on the lineage of the game. To me, it just makes me question something coming in the future, actually, which would be the Knights of the Old Republic remake that Aspire is also working on. I don't know if it's the same exact developers who did this, but it's somebody there, and it's already gotten delayed, I guess, at one point. And something like this happening with such a small, like, stupid thing to get wrong, just not having enough servers when there's such a large company like that, it just makes you really worry about what's going to happen with this remake. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, man, it's just worrying.
That's tough. I don't know. It seems like when companies we think know what they're doing, like I always think back to CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk. It's like,
Yeah.
just because they, even people with the track record could drop the ball. So there's no trust in it anymore. I don't pre-order any games anymore for this reason. You know, uh, I'll wait and see. I'll see what bugs are still in the game. But I'm not taking the chance anymore.
Right, man. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really pre-order games anyway. I just don't see the benefit of it. Like, what's the point? I'm just giving somebody, like, if it's digital, I'm just giving them all the money right then. And then if it's like GameStop, I'm just giving them $5 or whatever it is they want there. And it's just like, what's the point? I know the game's going to be available, so it's not like it's like, I know that's going to sell out, and if I don't pre-order one, I'm not going to get it. It's just like there's no benefit And usually, if there is a benefit, it's like, oh, here's this skin for multiplayer. Like, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah.
So
Damn, that's a trip. I didn't think about that. I'm gonna have to explain to my son one day about games selling out.
you know,
That's not, yeah.
it is crazy. Like, and that goes into game preservation too. Like, I'm glad I'm a collector because I like my child like sees my like and has physically played my Nintendo and my Genesis and these other systems and knows what they are and actually has like favorite games in the different on the different consoles, which is cool. So they'll always have an understanding of it, which is cool, but not a lot of kids do. So it's kind of up to us gamers to show them that too, because it's like they are spoiled in the ease of which you can get your hands on a game to play it. But there's just something about the physical like aspect of things. And that's really the only way you can truly own a game is to actually have it in your hand and be able to put it in the machine, power that machine on no matter what day of the week, what time it is, whether all you need is electricity in that machine and the TV and you're good
Yeah.
to go.
Listen, I
Like,
ran into that issue, a couple weeks ago. So I just moved to a different apartment, and it took a day or two to get the internet situated. But during that time, I was trying to play these games that I downloaded and owned supposedly. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I quoted the downloader, but supposedly I own them, and I don't. Because if it's not online, I can't play it. I can't play anything single player. Except for certain indie games. I was able to play my favorite game of like the past 5 years is Dead Cells. I was able to play that, but just base game, no DLC, which is cool because the base game is amazing anyways. But yeah, it's a weird thing. Like there's games, obviously the Game Pass games you have to be logged in to play, but there's other games I own. Like no, sorry, can't do it.
right.
But speaking of Dead Cells, there's like it, officially the DLC for Dead Cells is ending, and then there was some controversy with the developers behind it. So Motion Twin is the company that created Dead Cells, and then um, Evil Empire is a studio that they hired to make a lot of the DLCs over the past 3 or so years. And I guess they just didn't communicate well enough. And Motion Twin has a new game called Windblown coming out. It looks pretty fun. It's more of a 3D versus Dead Cells, like 2D style.
Huh.
But they kind of pulled the rug from under Evil Empire and was just like, you know what? Dead Cells is done, and it's looking like a marketing move to just push the new game instead of continuing Dead Cells because the fan base is there and like they do very high quality, DLC packs and new weapons and costumes, and the last one was Castlevania, and just tons of nostalgia right there, and they
Yeah.
do it well. So it kind of sucks, for someone like me that has been enjoying every installment of the game that it
Well,
won't be
I mean,
coming out.
that game was pretty successful, so I could see them going back to it at some point, and you would hope that they would bring them in to help with the entire game at that point because of the work they've done. So, that's a
Yeah,
hopefully that works out in the end.
there's back and forth between the developers from both companies. So I don't see it happening. But hopefully, Evil Empire can put out a quality game of their own, and I would definitely support it. So
Yeah, and it's take a moment too to talk about that. There's been a ton of layoffs lately in development, and a lot of that due to the hiring rush during COVID and things like that. Because of the, everybody was at home and a lot more people were playing games that normally don't. So sales went up and things like that. The whole streaming thing. There's a lot that happened because of that, and it's just sad to see a lot of people lose their jobs. But I mean, as you see what's going on, I mean, you see Sony having issues, you see Microsoft having issues. Nintendo apparently has put off the Switch 2 a little bit just to make sure they launch it correctly. So, you see a lot of this going on. Not as many games coming out from the bigger first party studios. So it all kind of correlates to like not a. I don't think this is a crash. I think this is more like just things are getting smaller in the industry a little bit out of necessity, I would say, and hopefully people start like learning how to spend money better so that they can continue to give us the entertainment we love. But we'll see what happens with that. It's just sad to see so many people, go losing their jobs and things like that. And a lot of people thinking about leaving the industry and things like that because of this. So shout out to anybody who's affected by that. We hope things work out for you. If you can't get back in that industry, find another one that you can at least find some sort of satisfaction and at least a good paycheck. Good luck with everything. Now segue into some recent and old controversy. Now, do you remember when Resident Evil 5 came out?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you remember any of the controversy around the setting and like what you were doing in the game?
Yeah, so it was and that was, I think G4 was still like a big thing at the time. And they touched on it a little bit.
I think in the review even.
Yeah, I think they might have touched on it in the review, but yeah, I remember they touched on it a little bit. I remember, I didn't think it was like GTA level of controversy where it spilled out outside of the game world. It kind of was contained for people that are already paying attention to games to think about like, is this an issue? Personally, as a kid, I didn't think of it at all, and going back to it, especially since this is like my most played Resident Evil, 4 really opened up the controls to where you're not getting extreme anxiety, shuffling through a corner while zombies are chasing you and you're trying to catch your herbs. And you're trying to mix herbs while you're getting your head chopped off. But yeah, so 5 really opened it up gameplay wise, so I really loved it. But I feel like we could have black zombies. If we could have a zombie of any color and it's not really an issue. But I think the setting is what the context in which it's done, because as far as I remember, I have to go back and play it or play this remake that's coming out. Like there wasn't anything egregious as far as attacking black zombies specifically and like not attacking any other zombies. So I didn't see any issue with the setting in general.
Right. I think a lot of people saw, so my whole take on the whole thing is like, I don't think it was intentionally like a racist thing. We're talking about a Japanese developer, so that takes a little bit out of the angle out, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know what I'm talking about there, but it's a Japanese developer. Like you said, there was nothing overtly racist. It was more, I think people could look at the archetype of the savage that they depicted in that as a racist trope, maybe. If you were to look at it from that angle, I could see somebody.
I mean, I will not like begrudge anybody that doesn't want to play it because it's I think it was South Africa.
Loved it.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and it has the your African co-op partner. But it's gonna be bad if you're having a white man killing black people in Africa.
Yeah. Which maybe that's why they gave him the sidekick to kind of help with that, I guess.
I mean, maybe. I think they just wanted to make a fun game, and she's she's like the local agent that's helping him out. But it's not good. You know what I'm saying? If historically, you're not. If you see a white person killing a bunch of black people, zombies or not, it's gonna be a problem. So
yeah,
I don't fault anybody for skipping over it or for getting mad at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm just curious how they'll approach it, knowing all this controversy that's coming up again. If they are really remaking this one, which is cool if they do. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to play with a friend because I like co-op games and there's not enough of them that are like that. And it was cool to have a Resident Evil like that.
No, I think the mercenaries mode, I think, is the best in the series, personally. And it could be biased just because I played it the most. But I think I had the most fun gameplay wise, and but I think a lot of think pieces could be made from it. Some people could get paid to make some articles. The only article I've seen so far is like really take an aim at the gameplay, which for diehard Resident Evil, this is when it kind of slid into
action,
like goofy territory. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
I had a blast.
Like
Yeah, the boulder punching, some of the car missions, and I think you're on an airboat at one point, and then 6 is when it really goes completely over the top.
Oh man, that went off the rails.
But yeah, I mean, I think they should remake it.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think they can rewrite it in a way to kind of ease the worries.
They're not taking that sting, bro. They just have to take.
You don't think so? You think they're gonna
nah, because it's all just the optics of it as far as I remember. If there's some dialogue that I don't remember, I haven't played it in over 10 years.
I don't remember there being any dialogue, but it's been a while, so.
But there could be something I missed that they do need to change with the location. They're not getting around that. They could
Yeah. And to be fair, I didn't see anybody complaining when it was like Spaniards in part 4, but it was because, lighter skin, I guess. I don't know.
Listen, I think there was people that had an issue with that too. It's just depending on what you're paying attention to.
Yeah, that's true. It's always about perception too.
Yeah.
But me personally, I don't give a shit about none of that. I love those games, and racism's dumb, and F those people. And
listen, man, if they really want to flip it, they could just they could make all the zombies in South Africa white. There's a lot of white South Africans. Start some new controversy.
And what's funny? I thought that
gonna
too.
Sell games.
Make some of them white, and boom, there you go. People can start complaining. We can just talk about the game itself, which, based on the last few remakes, will be amazing. Now, into some other news, and I gotta make sure I get these titles right. So Connie Booth, who is one of the architects of PlayStation's first-party studio system, it's been rocky recently. However, we know the track record there. She actually is joining EA now. This I thought was interesting just because of where she comes from with Sony and that background with the single player games and the big budget, AAA single player games. Now, do you think this could potentially be like a resurgence for EA as far as those type of games are concerned? We know they make money hand over fist with Madden and now EAFC, formerly FIFA, and in their sports games, whether it be UFC when they do those, et cetera, et cetera. But outside of that, they've been kind of struggling, I would say, just based on like single player games and even some big budget like AAA multiplayer games like the Battlefront games that should have been, probably done better than they did just based on being what they were. EA before that had put out a lot of good games, like on the low, like the Saboteur. I remember that being cool, even though that didn't do huge numbers. They had Dead Space, which they did just remake recently, which tells me maybe they are trying to get more back into that, which I'm hoping, because if you look at their catalog, they have a lot of stuff back there that they could go back to and really make some cool stuff. Like even like a new Medal of Honor, but like a World War II Medal of Honor, new generation one where you storm the beach in Normandy. I think it might be time to even go back there, possibly, if done right.
Oh, see, you're the reason why they made that game 80,000 times. I'm tired of Normandy, man. I don't want to storm the beach no more. All right, give me. If we're gonna do World War II, give me some different battles.
Yeah, probably, but still, I mean.
But listen, I think EA also has what is it? Jedi Survivor, right? With the
that's right. Yeah.
Fallen Order, which
I'm actually playing that right now. So good game.
Yeah, the first one was great. A lot of big action set pieces. I wasn't expecting giant bird. Um,
No,
but
me either.
yeah,
I just like to see them get back to doing that type of stuff. It seems like they went like kind of everything seemed to try to be multiplayer or, um, like I said, it's either that or sports. Oh, we lost the potato. Oh, there he is. You can see him. Can't hear him. No bueno, man. All right. Oh, all right. I don't know how I can't hear you, but I can hear me. So I'm just gonna go. So off of EA, hopefully they can get that in order, get the house in order, and get things back on track there.
I'm back.
There you are. Okay.
Oh, word. Yeah. So I was just saying I would want EA to just make some fun titles and get into the remake game. Especially the EA Sports big titles that have been lost to time and people just, people
That
do
would be
make,
good.
YouTube videos and TikToks like bigging up these games, NFL Street, NBA Street, these games that were just fun. So I would
Yeah,
love to see that type of thing because that's the type of gamer I am. I want to see arcadey stuff that's over the top.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
EA used to
NBA
do it
Jam.
well.
Yeah, I
Listen,
would love
a
that.
new SSX, it's a dream.
That'd be dope. NBA Street, NFL Street, even if done right, could be cool. What was the? Did they have an NHL one?
Um, if they did, I didn't. I know they had like a FIFA type one, like FIFA Street.
Okay. Oh yeah, yep. Oh
Yeah,
no, it was they had like an NBA Jamish type NHL one at one
or
point. But yeah, all that'd be good. They don't have enough of stuff like that, arcadey like sports games. Not enough of that anymore. And those can be done and really not good and be fun.
listen, just straight remake, man. Give me these games with the updated graphics. I'm down for it.
That'd be dope. It works for Nintendo. I don't know why people don't look at them sometimes and just figure it out. Be like, oh, okay. Like that's what they've been doing lately. That's when people been holding up the Switch is them just like remaking like Mario RPG and things like that. Just better graphics. That's really all they did.
Yeah, remaking old Kirby games like
Well,
is great.
yeah. Now, have you? Let me ask you this: can you stomach VR?
Stomach. What do you mean?
Well, I can't stomach VR. So when I play VR, if I move at all, like my character moves within the world, I get like I just want to like bleh, throw up.
Oh, I haven't tried VR, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm gonna have to I think I'm gonna see my cousin this weekend. My younger cousin has VR, so I might throw it on now that I don't got the fro right now. It'll fit on my head.
yeah, give
Uh,
it like 10 to 15, 20 minutes and you'll know.
word.
Because it's like cool. Like, so I got my kid a Quest last Christmas. So first thing I did, which I thought was cool, is you can go into YouTube and they have like VR videos. So like I was like, oh, I want to stand on the peak of Everest. So I was like literally standing on the peak of Mount Everest, just looking around like, yo, like this is crazy. And then I went to like the Grand Canyon and was in that and like things like that. It was really cool. That didn't bother me because I was just like basically a static camera looking around, or it was like a video, but I was just in one spot. But then when I tried to play any game where like I was moving, and this happened with PlayStation VR as well. Like if I tried to play Wipeout or any racing game, anything like that, I get crazy like motion sickness, and I got to take the thing off after like 5-10 minutes, sometimes even less time. So that's a problem I have with VR personally, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. But you may have seen the news that I guess PlayStation had to halt manufacturing of the PlayStation VR 2 just because they have so much already made that they haven't sold through yet, which isn't a good sign. However, I mean it doesn't make sense to keep making them if they're not selling them. Apparently, from what I've read about the thing itself. It's really good for what you're paying for. It's just you also have to have a console to play it with that costs almost as much as it does. However, there was recent news as well. I'm sorry, not to segue, but that they will be opening it up to PC soon. So people will be able to use it with PC, and not only will you be able to use it on a PS5, but you'll also be able to use it there and take advantage of it, from even more stuff, which is good because that may help it sell some. Because based on the tech that's in it, it's actually a very good value at the price it is for a PC VR setup. But it's kind of worrisome. I personally don't think it's a PlayStation issue or an interest in PlayStation VR in particular issue. I think it's a more of VR just isn't where it needs to be to really be a mainstream thing yet. It's getting ever closer than it was maybe 10 years ago and even before that. But to me, there's still a lot of things that need to be worked out, such as motion sickness. I mean, as long as that's there, you're going to count a lot of people out because of that. Um, I don't think it's a dead thing, but I definitely think it proved to be somewhat of a fad. Like I think there is a market there, and that'll be your MetaQuest, VR that'll really be the mainstream option because it's an all-in-one and it's kind of affordable.
Yeah, I think VR is gonna be. It seems like it's gonna stay niche. I can't see everyone having it, but I think the games look like they're getting better and more fun, and you know the the integration into other games. Like if GTA 6 has a VR, you know, uh, section where you could, if you have it, you could enjoy it in VR. You know what I mean? I know that was a big thing in uh, Resident Evil 7 when they went into that creepy house,
Yeah,
uh, and that was
yeah,
terrifying.
I played
So
some of that. That was extra scary in there. It just the way you move in that kind of like takes you out of it because it's either you move around, walk around slowly, and I can't do that because I get the motion sickness. And then other than that, it's like you point somewhere and then you're just warp there. So it kind of like I don't know, it's weird.
yeah, I
But
think
it's scary though.
even as a niche thing, like having that as an added option, like I'm sure that's somebody's, maybe not their favorite part, but it's amazing that they could do that. They could get into the game in a whole different way. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
games like you know, um like the Dragon's Dogma 2 that's coming out, like if there was a VR, section for that, and it could be the same type of you know, the same power graphically, if it was that level, I know it's not there yet in VR, but if it gets there, it would be, you know, a strong niche, I might
yeah.
I might consider picking it up.
You know what they need to do too is, and the game Moss kind of did this, but not in the exact way I'm thinking. Is like you have these third-person games, especially right, like an Assassin's Creed or something along those lines, right? Why or Witcher 3, right? Can you imagine playing Witcher 3 and your like eyes are the camera in the game? And you're like playing and you can like be riding the horse and just kind of look around in the world as you're going around and shit like that. They'd have to do something about the motion sickness, but like I think that would be a kind of a cool use for it as well, just to kind of bring you more into the world and envelop you in it, and then you could see more of the world and be, like I said, more in the game. I guess I'm just surprised they don't do more of things like that with it, or maybe it's just a matter of cost versus usage, which would make sense why they wouldn't do something like that.
Yeah, it could be something like that, but I think, it's here, and hopefully the price come down a little bit, and then, there'll be some creative stuff. Like there's a game called What Remains of Edith Finch, and it's a narrative game where you take the perspective of different members of this family, and it's all in first person. I could easily see a game like that where it's really creative, and it's more about the narrative than it is about you know the the graphics. It's more stylized.
Yeah,
That could work very well in VR. So I think more games like that would probably come out, but I just can't see, maybe that's just the age in me that I can't see VR taking the place of a home console or just games with controllers.
Yeah, no, me either. I can't see that happening. Like I said, it would take a long time, and it would have to be integrated better technology. It would basically have to be Ready Player One, and then I'm like, okay, now, yeah, I get it. Then it makes more sense. Until then, though, I don't know. I see a lot of cool usages for it, um, but we'll have to wait and see. I just think it's a matter of the technology maturing. I mean, it's to the point where now at least like the image isn't like a weird, green screen, or looks like it's got like a screen over your eyes or something like that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's definitely room for it. Like Meta does pretty well in that department. I'd say they probably do the best as far as mainstream recognition and stuff like that. And based on my usage of the machine, it does have a very easy user interface. It's pretty straightforward, makes sense. I don't really necessarily like the Facebook arm wrangling into having to sign in through that, but whatever, that is what it is. But it's a decent product. Like I said, the PlayStation VR 2 is a great value. At price point, it's just a matter of the Sony giving it games for the PS5. But hopefully soon, once it opens up to VR, they can sell some more, and they can support it on PS5 and really give it some good games, and hopefully you can sell some for the people who can stomach that type of thing. Now, what I want to get into next is pretty simple. I saw a little bit of, I guess it wasn't leak footage, but somebody got their hands on a copy of Dragon's Dogma 2 and actually was streaming it for, I guess, about a half an hour or so. And I saw some of this footage, or a couple hours, whatever it may have been. But anyway, I saw some footage of it, and it looks absolutely amazing. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but I'm kind of amped for this game. I have no idea how I'm going to get it because I'm a broke white man living in the hood. Um, no, all jokes aside, but hopefully I can grab it. If I can, I'm just amped to try it. I'm like ripe for a good RPG right now because it's been a little while. I can't do a lot of them, so I kind of pick and choose which ones I do, and I try to make sure they're nice and long. And this one looks like it can be pretty long, so I'm really amped just looking at this thing. It looks dope.
Yeah, I'm with you. And no pre-orders, but it might be a day one.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it just looks so good. The world looks like just, I don't know, it looks beautiful. Everything about the game has been dope looking so far from what I've seen. Now, did you play the first one? I forget if we talked about this.
Nah, I didn't. But this
Oh,
one, it is incredible. The first one, it's definitely dated. I've heard good things. Our producer, Junglist Ninja, said it's good. And other friends have said it's good. And people have been making some dope, character creations. There was like a cursed Pikachu because they dropped character creation before the game drops. So you can still make your character and then drop right in and get to skip that part.
that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, I like the first one. It was pretty cool. I never finished it or anything, so maybe I'll go back to it, especially where it's like on sale for like $5 right now on like everything, whatever, whether it's Switch or PlayStation or Xbox. So that would be a good time to scoop it up. Just throw it in the backlog, and then one day pick, give it a shot. Um, Now, we'll go into our last segment, I guess you could call it, where we usually finish, which is what are you playing? And right now, I'm playing Helldivers 2. This game is straight fire. It's a $40 game. It's caught on pretty well. It's been a big success for Sony, which is good. And Arrowhead Studios, the developers of the game. It's a third person shooter action game. Basically, the setup is it's almost like Starship Troopers, right? You get into a squad of four and you land on the planet, but like you land from your ship, which shoots you down in almost like a pod that burrows into the ground, and then puts you up on like a thing. You just come out of the ground and you're standing there. And then like there is like a map, and on the map is like these markers that you go to, and you accept these missions and you do certain things, and then you go to the next one and do this or whatever, and then at a certain point an extraction becomes available. You can go to it and you can try to extract off the planet, and complete your mission. And the more of the stuff you do successfully, obviously the more XP, et cetera, you get. But it's really cool because one of the things you do is you create a loadout where you hold L1 and it tells you these button combinations, and you do those button combinations and you get this specialized grenade. And when you throw the grenade, the ship from outer space shoots out whatever it is you did. So if it's like more ammo, it'll shoot down a thing and it'll have like 4 things of ammo you can get out of it. So your whole team can, get whatever you need. Then another one will be like your specialized weapon, whether that's like a rocket launcher or like a sniper rifle or whatever it may be, et cetera, et cetera. Like you can get a mech is one of them. One's like a airstrike from space that wipes out mad enemies. And then like it's friendly fire, so you can get shot by your friends and taken out by your friends shooting things. So if you're not paying attention, and like the goals in the game are very like team based, and you got to work together for a lot of this stuff. It's been, like I said, it's been a big hit for them, and I can see why in the limited time I've played it thus far. But it's a really dope game, especially for $40, and you can see why in areas it is only $40. But it's $40 well spent. It's a fun game. If you get 3 other friends with you and you guys are good at communicating, you can kick some ass in that game and have all kinds of fun. And it's cool too because the way you choose your like areas to land on the planets, it's broken up into like these sections, and in real time, based on how real human players are playing, you take over certain areas and drive the enemy back. And like it's this big map, and you go into different sectors, and in those sectors you can pick different areas to go to and land and like join other people's parties and stuff like that. Or you
Or
can just do
are
like
you fighting the missions? Are you fighting waves of enemies? Are you fighting
yo,
creatures?
so
What's the
there
plan?
right now there's 2 fronts of the war. You have I think they're called the arachnids or something like that, but just imagine it's literally like Starship Troopers on that side, and you're fighting bugs. And then the other one, they're like alien robots, so you're fighting robots, and they're a lot tougher. So I haven't fought them as much because I'm just not leveled up enough and don't have like the good enough weapons yet to really do good enough damage. So I've been fighting more bugs and just squashing them. And then there's also rumors that there's a third alien race that's going down into the game, which would match up because in the first game there is an alien race that you do fight against. And there's more of the map on the bottom that's not taken up by anything yet. So it does look like they'll probably be coming. But yeah, this game is really dope. Then, like I said, for $40, you can't go wrong, especially if you like multiplayer, especially multiplayer with like a purpose and then wants you to work together and rewards it. And it's not like really pay to win either. You can pay to get credits to buy things, but most of the main stuff you can get through playing the game too.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. I've definitely heard there was heavy anticipation on it, so I'm glad it's living up to the hype.
Yeah, it's definitely hitting hard. Now,
Yeah,
what are you playing?
I mean, I set it off top. I'm playing Brotato. Brotato is the jam right now. I've been mad busy. Our hiatuses are usually due to me. But planning events and whatnot. But Brotato's been holding me down. It's quick. You get locked in, do a few waves, and try to survive. Also, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Still playing that. And it is awesome. Lots of fun. It's co-op, so you could have Kirby. Unlike the other Kirby games where you can have multiple Kirbys, which is great. It's just the main Kirby, and then you get Waddle Dee. So whoever's co-op will be a Waddle Dee, and you get your spears. There's long range attacks, close range attacks, and it's just mad fun. It's kind of like almost reminds me of Mario Odyssey because you're in like a city like setting. And Mario
Oh,
Odyssey had that for a
yeah.
while, but yeah, it's great. They're always expanding Kirby, and I feel like the best ways. And this one, is awesome. So I would say pick that up, pick up Brotato. You'll have a lot of fun.
So now, what systems is Brotato on?
Brotato is on Xbox. I'm not sure if it's on PlayStation. It's definitely on Xbox.
All right, word. I'm gonna have to look into that. Definitely dope. Well, I mean that makes another episode of Masters of the Gamerverse.
Oh yeah, real quick before we sign all the way out.
Ooh.
Tekken 8. Never got a chance to really talk about it. Beat the story.
Oh,
Super over the top is awesome, especially if you're into anime. Definitely gives that type of energy toward the end of the main story. But yeah, I'm playing that, getting smoked online. We're gonna set up our Twitch channel, and we'll get Tekken set up, we'll get Street Fighter set up, Mortal Kombat, and maybe some Helldivers. But we'll be streaming soon, so pay attention to
no,
that.
no. Damn, you guys are probably gonna push me to have to get Tekken then. In that case,
Listen, I'm not good either. We could hold down the
whoa,
bottom.
I didn't say I wasn't good. I'm just like, you know, I'm not the greatest, but you give me some martial law, I can hold it down a little bit. But don't come at me with that Eddie Gordo bullshit.
Nah, he's not in there no more. He's not in 8. Maybe DLC. But listen,
Yeah, I'm sure they got
Orang
somebody else doing that twirly like
Orang will
bullshit.
throw the feet of fury. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, another episode of Masters of GamerVerse is in the can.
Yes,
For
sir.
myself, Elemental, Death Over Simplicity. We out.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.